Maria Tran arrived in Sydney in 1993 from Brisbane.
Kids throwing a few, like, I used to get the Ching Chong Chinaman comments, and I used to think it was funny.
Maria was born in Australia and has lived here all her life. But when this 22-year-old leaves the comfort of Cabramatta, she feels different with her black hair and yellow skin.
I mean, it's not like, as I said, there's not a banner on my head that people tend to come and go, ooh, you know, let's be racist to her. But you sort of get it, you get little looks and people turn around, they just stare at you. So, especially when I was in primary school, I was in a school where they were all like, you know, Australian, Anglo-Saxon people, and I was the only Asian, and to me, for them, it was like, what happened? You know, what's wrong? You know, something. To me, they treated me like as if I was someone from outer space. So, and that feeling is quite uncomfortable.
Julian Chung also feels like an outsider when she visits areas that are predominantly Anglo-Saxon.
There tends to be a bit of a, I don't know what you call it, it's just a bit of a thing where they like, oh, you know, you're Asian, you're this and that, and we're not, yeah, the same as them, because, you know, they blue eyes, blonde hair type of thing, and yeah, we've got black hair.
Leah Adler-Jagian's light hair and fair skin, on the other hand, keep her from being a target of racism.
My mum's Finnish, so she's Scandinavian, and my dad's Armenian, who came from Israel. So I'm considered Middle Eastern by default, but people don't realise that I am. So I often will hear, you know, someone say something about Middle Eastern people and, oh, these people did this or whatever, and I'm like, that's me. And they're like, oh, you know, it's not you, it's the other ones.
It just makes it a bit difficult in that way that I don't have that, you know, certain look.
A friend of mine has been perceived as being, you know, the second-class citizen or lesser, even though she had the same qualifications, other people, the same experience. Just going to a group interview, I know that she felt that she wasn't viewed the same.
Julian and Leah, with the Fairfield Youth Advisory Committee, worked on a DVD called Realities of Racism, which will be distributed to schools and universities across Sydney to raise awareness of racism.
No matter what nationality it was, the discrimination was almost exactly the same. So it might be one race discriminating against another race, but they have the same discrimination coming towards them from maybe another group in society. So it's like it's a domino effect that's just passed on.
One person, he mentioned that, you know, it's the weather's cold and everything, and he wore this big jacket, and because he had this look like the Lebanese look sort of thing, people would think that he's gonna start stealing stuff.
Racism can be an isolating experience.
I was very observant of what they'd done and try to sort of do it myself, like the way they speak, the way they talk, who they hang around with. So in a way, when I was young, I remember always wanting to be them.
It was just hard to get friends when you hang around, like when you're a different culture from them. Like if you move to a new school, like me in year 4 when I moved here, I was like, I don't know, one of the only Vietnamese, so it was hard to make friends with people. So it was hard to fit in with them.
Well, there's always the fighting and what have you when it's one group versus another group, and, you know, Aussies versus Assyrians or something like that.
Oh, he gets picked on at school.
By you?
Well, some of the Assyrians, like Arabs, they call them Chinese eyes and stuff.
Yeah,
but then, like, yeah,
it's all fun, it's all fun.
We tease them back like gorillas and stuff, so it's alright.
More recently, the focus has shifted to African migrants.
I've seen racism. So these two are the racist people.
What sort of racism do you see?
Oh, African people getting bullied.
Why do you think they get bullied?
Because they're different colour.
They call them black, or they you just go back to where you come from, or there are, and sometimes when they throw rocks at their houses or swear at them or say they don't want to talk to them.
They say like niggers and black cunts and all that shit.
It does hurt, and sometimes it makes an effect of anger, you know, amongst the communities, that why we treat it like this.
But here at Fairfield's PCYC, where Lucky and Chan hang out after school, young people learn to treat everyone with respect.
There's probably a big mix of everything. We have Sudanese children, Lebanese children, Anglo-Saxons, there's Christians, Buddhists, and all those sorts of different religions. So there's not really any discrimination, there's no difference that anyone really sees. They just sort of say, hey, there's someone, do you want to play? Rather than sort of, oh, you know, she's Asian, she's black, or he's white, or no, can't play with them, or they're different, or they, you know, we can't hang with them, sort of thing.
For older migrants, it's harder to integrate into Australian society as they face difficulties learning English.
Even when they go to English classes, they're still thinking about families left behind, or what they're gonna do in their life, or they might already lost someone, so they don't concentrate much on learning the language, and that becomes a barrier for them.
It's strange that in Campbelltown they think that we all sort of meant to have broken English and we can't understand things and we don't understand what they mean. I had one customer that came up to me and I said hello to them, asked them how they were, and they were really surprised. They were like, wow, you can speak English. I was like, yeah, so can you. And I was just like, oh wow, why can't... I've met some people that just don't even bother learning English even though they live here, and they think it's like sort of... it's not a privilege or something to live here, that you should be able to speak English to live here.
Marie's parents were on the receiving end of racism because of their accents.
I know my mum said that when she was, I guess, selling at a bakery, someone told her, you know, you can't speak English, go back to your country.
As for her dad,
I guess as much as he tries, that accent, that thick Asian accent is still going to be around, you know? And even though he may learn and he tries, he reads the dictionary, he's trying to find all these vocabs and stuff, but in the end he's still, you know, an Asian Australian, you know? That black hair is not going to go, it's not going to turn blonde.
however, in an area like the Fairfield LGA, where more than half of the population is born overseas, residents say that racism is decreasing.
We heard about racism incidents in Liverpool or Blacktown much more than Fairfield area. So in terms of multicultural realism, Fairfield is very multicultural and it's embracing all the communities.
I think from my experience, it's not the hardcore stuff. I mean, I heard people getting bashed, you know, for who they are, for their, you know, what they wear, what they eat. Oh, you eat funny food, you know, what's all this stuff? Chopsticks, why don't you just use forks, you know? So you get a lot of these comments, but then at the end of the day, it's like, it's my culture, this is what we do.
Everyone will have their own judgments, and that's just, you know, society.
I think it'll get to a point where you don't, like, what nationality are you? Well, I'm a quarter this and a quarter something else and a quarter something else, but you're Australian.